I settled too young and deserved better. My wife of 15 years said, leaving me for her bad boy, so I gave her freedom. Now he's in prison and she's lost her kids' respect. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. I'm going to try to keep this coherent, but honestly, I'm still processing everything that's happened. It's been almost 2 years since my world imploded, and I'm finally ready to tell this story. Names change for obvious reasons, but everything else is exactly how it went down. My wife Sarah and I met in college. We were both 25 when we got married, had our kids Emma and Jake by 30, and I genuinely thought we had built something solid. I worked as an accountant at a mid-sized firm. She managed the front office at a dental practice, and we had our little suburban life with soccer practices and lake house vacations. Nothing glamorous, but it was ours. The beginning of the end started about 2 years ago when Sarah joined this book club at our community center. At first, I was thrilled. She'd been feeling restless, talking about needing something for herself, so I encouraged it completely. I even watched the kids extra nights so she could go to their weekly meetings. That's where she met Rick. Rick was everything I wasn't. Leather jacket, motorcycle, stories about traveling to 12 different countries. He was divorced, no kids, and apparently had this whole live free or die philosophy that Sarah found intoxicating. The changes started small: new clothes, different music in the car, suddenly wanting to go to bars instead of our usual restaurant dates. The first real warning sign came about 3 months in. We were at Emma's soccer game, and Sarah was telling me about Rick's latest adventure. You know what I realized today? She said, barely watching our daughter play. When Rick talks about his trip to Costa Rica, his eyes light up. When you talk about our vacation to the lake house, you sound like you're reading a grocery list. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. I thought you liked the lake house. We've been going there for 8 years. That's exactly my point, David. 8 years of the same lake, the same routine, the same everything. Do you know Rick's been to 12 countries? 12. And you've never even suggested we leave the state. We have responsibilities, I said, gesturing toward Emma scoring a goal. Emma's got her soccer league. Jake has his baseball, see? This is what I mean. Rick doesn't think like that. He says life is meant to be lived, not scheduled. I should have seen it then. The way she said his name. The way she compared everything I did to what Rick would do. But I was still trying to be the supportive husband, thinking this was just a phase. Over the next few months, the comparisons got worse. Rick would never choose Netflix over going out. Rick thinks people who worry about retirement savings are letting fear control their lives. Rick says real men take risks. Rick. I tried everything. I suggested we plan a trip to Europe, something I'd actually brought up 3 times over the years, but Sarah had always said it was too expensive. Now suddenly she was interested, but not the kind of boring trip you'd plan, David. Rick knows how to really experience a place. I signed us up for dance lessons. I bought a motorcycle magazine and left it where she'd see it. I even looked into changing careers, wondering if being an accountant was somehow failing her. Nothing worked. Everything I did was measured against this Rick guy who was becoming larger than life in our house. The end came on a Tuesday night in October. Sarah had been at another book club meeting, came home late with that excited energy she only seemed to have after seeing him. I was helping Jake with his math homework when she walked into the kitchen with this determined look on her face. David, we need to talk. Jake sensed the tension and disappeared upstairs. Sarah sat across from me at our kitchen table, the same table where we'd planned our wedding, where I'd fed both kids as babies, where we'd done taxes and made Christmas lists and lived our entire married life. I can't do this anymore, David. I settled too young and I deserve better. The words hit like a physical blow. Settled? Sarah, we built this life together. Our home, our kids will understand when they're older. They'll want their mom to be happy, truly happy. And I haven't been happy in years. I stared at her, this woman I'd loved for 15 years, and felt something break inside my chest. So all those times you said you loved me, loved our life, I thought I did. But being around Rick showed me what I've been missing. Passion, adventure, feeling alive. You're a good man, David, but you're safe. And I'm tired of safe. What about Emma and Jake? They'll adjust. Kids are resilient. And maybe seeing their parents actually happy instead of just existing will be better for them in the long run. I sat there for a long moment, looking at this stranger wearing my wife's face. When I finally spoke, my voice was calmer than I felt. If that's what you want, Sarah, then I won't stop you. She blinked, like she'd expected me to fight. That's it. You're not going to try to change my mind. Would it work? No, she said quietly. No, it wouldn't. Then what's the point? She moved out that weekend. Took half our savings, her clothes, and a few pieces of furniture. Left me to explain to Emma and Jake why Mommy was suddenly living with Uncle Rick from book club. Left me to handle their tears, their confusion, their anger. I didn't badmouth Sarah to the kids. I didn't blow up her phone or show up at Rick's place. I did exactly what I'd done our entire marriage. I handled it quietly and practically. I called a lawyer, set up therapy for the kids, and started the slow process of rebuilding our life as a family of 3. The first few months were the hardest. Emma, who was 14, was old enough to understand exactly what had happened. She was furious with her mother, refused to go to their scheduled visits half the time. Jake, 12, was just confused and hurt. But gradually, we found our rhythm. Homework at the kitchen table, weekend trips to my brother's house, learning to cook meals that weren't just kid food. Sarah seemed happy at first. She'd pick up the kids for her weekend visits wearing new clothes, talking about the bars she and Rick went to, the spontaneous road trips they took. She looked younger, more alive than she had in years. I'm not proud to admit it, but that hurt worse than anything, seeing her bloom once she was free of me. But cracks started showing around month 4. Emma came home from a visit looking troubled. Dad, Rick was really mean to Mom yesterday. He yelled at her for buying the wrong kind of beer, called her stupid in front of me. I filed that away but didn't comment. A few weeks later, Jake mentioned that Rick didn't like them visiting much. He says kids ruin the vibe. Jake told me matter-of-factly. In that way kids have of repeating, devastating things they don't fully understand. Sarah started looking tired during kid exchanges. The spark in her eyes dimmed a little each time I saw her. She'd lost weight, and not in a good way. When I asked if everything was okay, she'd snap that she was fine, better than fine. The real drama started around month 8. Sarah called me at work, crying. David, can we talk? Please. I know I hurt you, but I'm ready to come home now. I felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not vindication, not even surprise. Just nothing. Home? Sarah, you moved out 8 months ago. This isn't your home anymore. I made a mistake, okay? A huge mistake. Rick, he's not who I thought he was. But we can fix this. We can go to counseling. Take that trip you always wanted. The trip I always wanted? Sarah, I suggested Paris 3 times over the years. You said it was a waste of money. I was different then. I've learned so much about myself, about what I want. And what I want is my family back. What happened with Rick? She was quiet for a long moment. He has a temper. And a drinking problem. And he thinks I'm trying to trap him or something. David, I was so wrong. About everything. About him, about us, about what I thought I wanted. I'm sorry things didn't work out the way you hoped, I said, and I meant it. But that doesn't change anything between us. Please, just think about it. The kids need their mother. The kids see their mother every other weekend, as agreed by the court. If you want to see them more, we can discuss adjusting the schedule. She started crying harder. I don't want to see them more. I want to come home. I want my life back. That's when it hit me. She didn't want me back. She wanted her old life back. The security, the stability, the safety net she'd thrown away. She wanted to undo her mistake, but she couldn't undo what she'd revealed about how she really saw me, saw us, saw the life we'd built. That life doesn't exist anymore, Sarah. The person who would have taken you back? You killed him when you said I was something you'd settled for. I hung up. The calls and texts started coming daily after that. Sarah begging, explaining, promising she'd changed. Her sister Lisa cornering me at Jake's baseball game. David, she's family, Lisa said, blocking my path to the parking lot. She made a mistake, but she's suffered enough. Don't you think the kids need their mother? The kids see their mother every other weekend, as agreed by the court. I repeated. That's not the same, and you know it. Sarah's changed. She's learned from this. Isn't forgiveness part of being a good Christian? I stared at Lisa, this woman who'd watched Sarah publicly humiliate our marriage for months, and said nothing. Lisa, Sarah didn't cheat on you. Sarah didn't tell you that 15 years of marriage was settling. Sarah didn't look you in the eye and say you weren't enough. But she's sorry. She cries every day. She knows she was wrong. Being sorry doesn't undo the damage. And tears don't rebuild trust that's been completely destroyed. The harassment got worse. Sarah showing up at my office, waiting by my car after work, sending long emails about how much she'd grown as a person. Her friends from the book club, the ones who'd encouraged her great adventure, suddenly became relationship counselors, telling me I was being cruel and unforgiving. Then, about 14 months after she left, everything fell apart for her spectacularly. Rick got arrested. DUI, assault charges from a bar fight, and during processing, they discovered he had a warrant from another state for domestic violence against his previous girlfriend. Turned out our suburban bad boy had quite the rap sheet. Sarah lost her job. Apparently, the drama and her erratic behavior had made her impossible to work with. And when the Rick scandal hit the local gossip network, the dental practice decided she was no longer a good fit for their family-friendly environment. Emma chose to live with me full-time. She was 16 now, old enough to make that call, and she'd had enough of her mother's chaos. Jake still went for his weekend visits, but even he started asking to stay home more often. Sarah spiraled. Lost the apartment she'd gotten after Rick's arrest, moved back in with her parents at 42 years old. Started drinking too much herself. The woman who'd left me because I was boring was now the cautionary tale everyone whispered about at school events. The final encounter happened about 6 months ago. I was at the grocery store when I saw her in the cereal aisle. She looked older, worn down, like she'd aged 5 years in the 2 since she left. "David, please. Just 5 minutes. I know you hate me, but I don't hate you, Sarah," I said, and realized I was telling the truth. I did for a while. But hate requires caring, and I don't care anymore. She flinched like I'd slapped her. "Don't say that. We have 15 years together. That has to mean something." It does mean something. It taught me what I will and won't accept in my life going forward. It taught me that I'm stronger than I thought. It taught me that sometimes the worst thing that happens to you turns out to be the best thing that could have happened. How can you say that? Our family is broken. No, our family is different now. Emma and Jake are happier. I'm happier. You gave me the greatest gift when you left, Sarah. You showed me I don't need someone who doesn't want to be here. I want to be here now. I've changed. I've grown. So have I. And the person I've grown into doesn't have room for someone who views love as settling. Good luck with your life, Sarah. I genuinely hope you find what you're looking for. I walked away, leaving her standing there in the cereal aisle. That was the last time we spoke outside of logistics about the kids. Emma's 17 now, focused on college applications. Jake's 15 and playing varsity baseball. They're good kids who've learned some hard lessons about consequences and character. As for me, I got promoted to partner at my firm last year. Started taking those pottery classes Sarah used to mock. I've been on 3 dates in the past 6 months. Nothing serious yet, but I'm open to it. The house is paid off, the kids are thriving, and I sleep peacefully every night. Sarah's still living with her parents, working part-time at a different dental office, trying to rebuild a life from the wreckage of her great adventure. Rick's been in and out of jail 3 more times since that first arrest, twice for violating restraining orders from other women, once for another DUI. She doesn't talk about passion and adventure anymore. Looking back, I understand now that she was probably right about one thing. We were wrong for each other. But not because I was boring or safe or someone she'd settled for. We were wrong because I valued loyalty, commitment, and building something lasting, while she valued excitement, novelty, and the grass being greener elsewhere. She thought she was trading up when she left me for Rick. What she actually did was trade a man who loved her for a man who used her, stability for chaos, respect for humiliation, and a family for a cautionary tale. The funniest part? She still thinks the problem was that Rick turned out to be the wrong guy, not that she was the kind of person who could throw away 15 years of marriage for any guy at all. I learned I'm not boring. I'm steady. I'm not safe. I'm dependable. And those aren't consolation prizes. They're exactly what someone worthy of love would value. Sarah taught me that I deserve someone who sees our life together as an achievement, not something they settled for. And until I find that person, I'm perfectly content being exactly who I am. A good father, a successful professional, and a man who knows his worth. The kids and I are planning a trip to Paris this summer. Emma's researching art museums. Jake wants to see the Eiffel Tower, And I'm looking forward to finally taking that trip Sarah always said was too expensive. It's going to be perfect. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.